Story time. So I'm going to talk about why I haven't spoken to my parents in so many years. And in this one, I'm going to talk about my father. Well, one of the last conversations that I had with him was brought up a lot about past, which I went through a lot of AB as a child. So trigger warning, if you're not okay with that sort of stuff, you might want to swipe away now. He's the type of person where he thinks that just because he can say, I'm sorry, that that's it, and that's that, and it's supposed to be left in the past. And I tried many times to explain to him that just saying I'm sorry is not something that's going to erase those memories, that emotional and mental damage that he did to me and my brother, as well as my mother, for over a decade of our lives. And even longer past that, after the divorce, for many years, until he went through a few more marriages. And it wasn't until his third one that he really started to settle down and calm down. But regardless, it doesn't change how much damage. And just to let you know how much damage, I've been in 3 psych ward clinics in 2 different states because I didn't want to live anymore. And if you feel that way, please do seek help. Don't sit by. Don't let it build up. Go and talk to somebody. Call somebody. There is help for you, and somebody will listen and help you. I'm diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, or as my doctor prefers to call it, emotional dysregulation. I also have severe depression and anxiety, and yeah, I do take medication, but it doesn't help with the fact that I still have nightmares on occasions from everything that happened. I still have memories of his hands around my throat, just being in total fear. There was one time where he threw me across the room and I slammed into a heater. My entire left side of my face was black and blue, and I couldn't tell you for how long. And then what's worse is my parents told me, if anybody'd ask, you say you fell. I was 7 years old. They said that to a 7-year-old. So my father to sit and think that all he has to do is say, I'm sorry, and that it's not to ever be brought up again, is just asinine to me. And honestly, I've accepted, and I know that my brother and I will never get justice for any of it. And the only way that it's possible is if he took himself into a courthouse, into a court of law, or something of that nature. And I just don't think that he ever will. I mean, why would he? He was able to get away with it for so long. And then what's worse is there was a point in time where there were some issues between my stepmother, his wife, and my brother over money. So basically what had happened, and I have a memory of this, where I remember being at my mom and my stepdad's house, and I could hear my mom on the other side of the house yelling at my brother. I can't believe you did that. You'll never see that money again. And I kept hearing that, and it got louder as eventually her and my brother walked into the room, and she goes and sits down in a chair. My brother behind, who's repeating over and over, no, it's not like that. She promised. Why are you acting like this? Mom, it's not like that. But my mom just kept going. I finally spoke up, and I'm like, what's going on? Because I didn't have a clue. I just immediately started hearing this conversation, and my mom looks at me in this really pissed off look and says, your brother's loaned several thousands of dollars to your stepmom and seems to think that he's going to get it back. And of course, my brother immediately, she will, Mom, she will. She promised. Look, she promised. And he's got a piece of paper and a little book in his hand. So I get up, and I'm like, what is this? And he opens it up, and it's a little blue book with FICO written on the outside of it. And on the inside is a list with her signature and list of prices ranging anywhere between $20-something and several $100s over and over and over again. And this piece of paper that was signed with her signature and written out, given to my brother, promising that she was going to pay this large sum of money back to my brother. Well, fast forward a few more years, and lo and behold, suddenly he's a liar. Suddenly my brother fabricated a lie, and my stepmother never borrowed money, never made a promise or anything of the sort. And it's like you're gonna really go to that extent and just straight up deny And, you know, my father, he didn't care because I brought this up to him, and his immediate response is, oh, I don't have anything to do with that. That's between them two. I don't know anything about it. And I'm just like, how dare you call yourself a father or a husband when something about two people who you claim to care about has got an issue going on, and you don't care to find the truth out, to get to the bottom of it? It really blew my mind. So I tell him the story of what I remember, because he even tried to say that he thought that my brother dreamt it, that it is a falsified memory, that he just dreamt, or he's got mixed up with somebody else. So I tell him the story of what I remember, because I'm like, well, you know what? If he's got a falsified memory, then that means I do too. And he's like, what do you mean? I tell him, and he goes quiet. He stays silent on the phone. And then I tell him, I'm like, look, I tell you what, you call mom, call your ex-wife. And if she claims that she doesn't have any idea, she says that that didn't happen. She says that she doesn't know anything about money or ever making those comments to my brother saying that he would never see that money again, then even I will acknowledge and admit to you that it's a fabricated memory. But if she tells you the exact same thing that I just told you, that means you've got 3 witnesses against your one wife. Now, I'm sorry to say, but common sense, I mean, it doesn't take a blind dumbass to read between the lines, and yet apparently that's exactly what he is, because he didn't bother or care to find and seek the truth out. He would rather have a body to sleep and lay next to at night than to have honesty and truth in his life. And I just, and you know what, it shows more when you watch my stepsister's wedding video, because all of her parents, except my father, her stepfather, are in her wedding video multiple times for lengths of time in it, including her father's wife / girlfriend, whatever she is, but even she's in it. My father is in her video for 1.2 seconds in the entire wedding video. So, I mean, and what's even worse is you can tell who he is, because he sticks out like a sore thumb. Just a total loser. And then on top of that, I remember a time back when we'd all went shopping and my 2 stepsisters were with us. We were in the purse area with scarves, and my stepmother came over, and her oldest, ran up to her, was standing on my left, and asked for some money, saying she was a little short. She found a purse that she wanted, and she was a little short. She couldn't get it because she needed a little bit of extra to cover for taxes. And my stepmom standing there with me in the middle and her directly in front of the 3 of us, her 2 girls and me, and looks at me for a moment, and then looks down into her purse, reaches in and pulls out $2 and $10 and hands them both to her daughters, hands nothing to me, and then looks at all 3 of us and says, "Don't tell your father, don't tell Teddy." Well, yeah, so obviously I didn't, because at that point in time, for sure, my father was the type of person where if I had told him what had happened, somehow, some way that would have been twisted and thrown back at me as if it was my fault, or as if I was trying to stir up issues, when in fact it would be me trying to protect my father or let him know, hey, there is some manipulation and lying going on. But he's the type of person that he'd rather live blindly than to know the truth. But hey, you know what? It's his prerogative to live blindly behind lies. And you know, just to my father, if he ever does hear this, we will never forget. And you nor her will ever truly be forgiven. Obviously, she doesn't give 2 shits. She gets what she wants, and so does her girls. It's you and your kids that get to suffer, and you don't care because you want a body to lay next to at night. And that's what you prefer instead of honesty and trust. So for that, I hope you live in misery until your dying days. And even then, I hope you beg for hell, because even that is too fucking good for you. My next video, I'll talk about my mother. So follow and for more.